Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. My name is Tony Joy from Sound Particles. I'm coming live from Los Angeles, California. Joining me today is Josh Madoff from Expressive E. And we both will be talking about the 3D synth that we make at Sound Particles and the 3D keyboard that they make at Expressive E. And joining us also today is the multi-dimensional artist Nakul Abhyankar, who's a singer, songwriter, producer, performing artist, composer, and much more. So Nakul, welcome and thank you. And Josh is also a composer for film and TV. He, as you can see, tell from his room, he also writes amazing music for multiple formats. So once again, thank you for joining us. A few things on introduction. Also joined today is Joao from Portugal, from Sound Particles headquarters. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask Joao. There he is. Welcome, Joao. And he will be joining us later towards the end of the webinar to discuss any questions and answers we might want to discuss in public. So once again, thank you. Make sure you attend all of the webinar because we have some amazing giveaways from both Expressive E and Sound Particles. And once again, a huge shout out to everyone at Expressive E for making these amazing hardware products. And also a shout out to all my developer colleagues at Sound Particles who work on SkyDust. So with that, let's jump in. So I just want to open it up to Joshua and Nakul. And the goal of today's webinar is everyone speaks about spatial music, right? And it's the buzzword lately. And what's going on in the industry is everyone is up mixing music, stereo stem to spatial, whatever format that it might be. And these two companies, right? Ah.
Sorry, my machine can't wait.
That's okay. The machine is excited and I should shut up, but I will shut up soon in a second. But I just want to mention that we wanted to take creating music to a different level. Instead of spatial being a mixing engineer's tool, we wanted to bring spatial and three-dimensional expression to the musician and the artist themselves. And that's why Expressive E's Osmose is a great instrument because you get multi-dimensional control for every single note you play, which Josh can explain. And the Nakul will show us how SkyDust, made by Sound Particles, which is a three-dimensional spatial synthesizer, can link with this MPE supported keyboard and take your composing workflow to next level. So with that, before I hand it over to Nakul, Josh, do you want to jump in and give us a quick intro on what Osmose is for people who might not be well used to the instrument? Can you give us a quick intro, please?
Sure. It's really it's a difficult thing to introduce over Zoom because it's one of those things you kind of have to experience to understand, but I will do my best. Osmose is a multi-dimensional keyboard. It has its own internal sound engine. The thing that everybody talks about is that the notes, they wiggle, but it's also hands down the most sensitive electronic instrument on the planet. The sound starts at the touch of a hair. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So with the internal sound engine alone, you get a level of unbelievable connection with the instrument, an expression that just is pretty much unparalleled with other electronic instruments. There's a lot more, but I think that's a good starting point.
That's a great start. Thank you so much. And I will take a moment to talk about SkyDust, right? So SkyDust is a synthesizer that allows you, basically gives you 8 oscillators per note. And now you can feel free to share your screen and get warmed up. So SkyDust allows you pretty much 8 oscillators per note and then add the information that comes from those each keys that Josh has shown. And Nakul can now walk us through what that sounds like. Nakul, the stage is all yours.
Yeah. So I have made some presets and I was just playing around with them with the time I had, and it's pretty interesting. It's something that I've never seen, and with Osmose adding to the SkyDust with the MP feature, I think it just sounds magical. Tones like I just came up with this arpeggio, a sequence kind of thing. So that's how SkyDust looks like. And where's that? Yeah. So this is something that I came up with. So yeah, it's very very easy to use sequencer here, and there are 8 oscillators, and you can really check out some of the videos of SkyDust, and it's very very detailed. You can have millions of combinations within the synth, and you can assign any parameter to be controlled and modified during your performance, and that's where MPE comes in. And with the channel pressure and a bunch of CCs and the wiggling that Josh was talking about, I think we can get really cool tones. Something like I was just going through this one of these apps. So, sorry. Yeah, so. So you can do all that just by playing. I'm just like sliding to the left, sliding to the right, and bending the pitch. And with the additional pressure, what's happening is I've assigned the oscillator gain to be controlled by the channel pressure here. And because the keyboard is MPE support and the synth as well, I can just hold the bass notes which add that center arp kind of a feature. Just that. And on the top notes, if I press them harder, then you can hear the particles going in a very spatial dimension from there. So that's where it starts.
Nice.
And then you hear the other oscillators kicking in with a lot of spatial panning feature that the synth has to offer. And all of that is controlled just by the channel pressure. So
Cool.
yeah.
Super cool.
Can I just jump in there real quick just to explain that matrix tab? Don't close it.
Yeah.
Leave it open, please, Nakul.
Yeah,
So everyone, if you're not too familiar with SkyDust, this is one of the most powerful tabs inside the synthesizer, right? What this matrix allows you to do, just to double down on what Nakul just said, you can assign pretty much any parameter to any part of the synth, including spatial settings or arpeggiation settings, and that's what Nakul is doing in a very brilliant way. And there's also some macro knobs in the synth to which you can assign these multiple parameters and then trigger any of those things using MPE. So imagine the possibilities. This is possibly one of the most underused but at the same time most powerful tabs on SkyDust. Just wanted to throw it in there.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going through it, and I think even Josh was Josh had some time to go through the synth, and even he would agree with me that it's incredibly powerful. It's something else, and I think it's a rabbit hole where we can get lost.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. I mean, from my perspective, for film especially, but nowadays television too, we deal as composers with scale. Like scale is everything, right? So people will spend $60,000 a day to get an orchestra to give them a certain level of scale and grandeur. And then another thing that's kind of a daily struggle for most TV and film composers is we live out here, like, because this center speaker is not for us. In general, you want to hear the dialogue, you want to hear the effects and everything. So I spent a lot of time like working out here and up here and back there. And there's a part of my workflow that's just kind of dedicated to that with a synth like this. And actually it's interesting because the Osmose internal sound engine has a very similar, extremely wide stereo field once you play with it. But just to have something that's already positioning things, and you can dial that in and just decide, like, I'm going to make this sound that doesn't live in the middle at all, but it goes this wide and it goes this tall or this low and it goes this far back. It's a very, very powerful tool.
Yeah. Like in this particular preset that I was working on, you can actually visually see what's happening to the sound there, and there are like different perspectives of the sound. So this is top, this is front, and this front view, and then you have front red, and like very different dimensions of spatial representation of the sound. And with MP, just with that, sorry, I think I was working with this one. Yeah, this one. Here you can see. You can see how widely the sound is spread there.
Yeah.
I can even
The
probably
sound
do
is
like
definitely not in the center at all.
no, and
Right.
that's part of what makes scale is the relation between objects. So like if you were to play that sound again, I don't know if this will work.
Oh yeah, sure. One second.
So you have this very wide sound. Then if
Yeah.
I were to play something a little low,
Nice.
like it already adds a whole sound stage that just got really wide. I don't know how well that translates over Zoom, but to my ears already, when I hear this and I know I can put something very low and center and it's going to hit those subs,
Right.
and then you can fill up the upper spaces, you
Yeah,
start to
that-
build a world, and that's kind of what we do with spatial sound. It's world building.
Right. And both of you work in feature films and TV, and you know how you always get, comments from directors who all we love, right? We all love them. And sometimes they say, oh, I don't feel it in the gut, or, hey, I want it to like move over here. And the usual answer to that is, oh, we'll fix it in the mix, right? Actually, Nakul, if you don't mind opening up SkyDust, I just want to show
sure.
people something real quick. If you go to the roll the dice, don't click on it, but there's a drop down next to it, to the rolling the dice, right
Okay.
about, you can lock everything except for spatial. So click on tamper, pitch, and arpeggiation. And now if you hit the shuffle, you will get the same sound, but it's going to move differently.
See, yeah, you can already see that.
And if you don't like that, you can say, hey, the director, do you like this? Oh, no? Okay, let's shuffle it again and see what else we get. So you can do this on the fly. And if you're scoring to picture, like Josh was saying, you don't necessarily want to stay in the center, right? That's always a no-go. You'll get your wrist slapped before you even know it. Either you can roll the dice or just go to the spatial tab and say, listen, I want everything to be towards the semi-hemisphere in the back, right? Or towards the front right corner or left corner. Your workflow and your inspiration, I think, gets much more faster. What do you guys think, Nakul and Josh?
100%. I mean, we were talking about this just before the seminar started, but I think this is maybe not everybody knows this, that most film and TV composers were not technical experts. Mostly you follow the rule of cool. Like, does it work or doesn't it? You know what I mean? So like, if I'm scoring to picture, I have production sound, and I might have that muted while I try to put some things together. Then I put the production sound on, and I'm just like, oh crap, like it doesn't work. Like it's making it worse. It's fighting with it. You know what I mean? To be able to have the randomizer for spatial stuff is very powerful as well, because you can just kind of keep clicking and messing around, and you're like, oh wait, now it works. I can hear the dialogue. I know what they're saying, but I'm still able to set the mood. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Like I'm not a technical guy. I get as technical as I need to get the job done, and to make the most powerful music I can. But it's to me, the measure of the quality of a tool is like how accessible are the features of it, and in the 2 hours I had to play with SkyDust, not even, it was very quick and accessible for me.
Yeah.
Osmose is very similar. Like you could spend a lifetime mastering, the sensitivity and the technique and trying to push boundaries, but I've never met anybody that hasn't put their hands on it and instantly been like, oh, like this is something different.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Like Josh said, not every artist needs to be technically minded, right? It doesn't hurt, but at the same time, sometimes I'd rather prefer my composer to remain a musical genius and not a technical prodigy, right? Because that's their primary art form. And I think that's one thing, again, just mostly repeating what George said, one thing that both Expressive E and SkyDust does is that you can pick it up, and the point of entry now becomes more accessible and more easy on the brain. A good example, Nakul is more or less new to both SkyDust and Osmose, and so is Josh. And these two gentlemen work us composers, these are working composers who do music on a day-to-day basis, and look how easily they can pick it up and start writing music in spatial without having to worry about, oh, how many objects do I have? Do I need 25 computers to make this happen? No, all you need is a laptop and a pair of headphones and Osmose and SkyDust, and you are writing from your very first note in spatial. Nakul, any thoughts to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we are dealing with right now is so future proof because we are all so used to working in a stereo kind of an environment, and when the director comes in or whoever wants the music to be done and we are the composers, it's so simple to just put up a 5.1 or a 7.1, a basic setup, and when someone walks in, synth like SkyDust and these real fat tones from Osmose, and I think all we need to do is, if the musical thought is right, within half an hour I think we'll be done with a cue in the surround, because you can straight away route the sound directly from your DAW, from your VST to 7.1 or any config you want. And
can you show that? Because to me that was like mind-blowing yesterday, because I work in stereo, but I always am present on the mixing stage. Can you show that? Because Tony showed it to me yesterday, where like there's literally a drop-down menu. You work however you want, and then it's like a drop-down of everything you could ever want to output.
That I will just mention that. So we support a little over 30 formats, 30 in SkyDust, right? Starting with multiple stereo channels, right? Binaural stereo in XYMS format, LCRS. So 5171, 916 if you work in 22.2 in Japan, we support that too. IMAX formats. But one thing I want to mention real quick is 4.0 or quad. Most people say, I don't have the money to buy multiple speakers and have a speaker-based setup. And something I ask them immediately is, do you have more than one pair of speakers? They're like, yeah, I have two monitor sets, A and B. And I tell them, why don't you experiment by placing one set of those monitors behind you, make a quad setup temporarily without buying anything, and explore that. And they're like, oh, wow. So again, I think the point of entry to spatial music is now much, much more easy. Yeah. And Nakul, can we hear some other stuff that you've made in these tracks?
Yeah, so one of the big sounding topic that came up with Josh, so I think some tones like,
Cool. Can you open the synth as well? I want to see what it's doing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So there are 4 oscillators.
Uh-huh.
And there's a spatial orientation of those. So
nice.
If you go into this one, you can see the rate of this LFO is handled by the channel pressure here.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
That is so trippy. It's like I can hear it swirling around my head. I mean, in a big system, I couldn't imagine. That's wild.
So it's like, is that just one synth, like one preset? Literally. Yeah.
Nice. I think Josh is trying to layer something on top of what you're playing.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure even what, but I was just curious what other things would sound like in there.
Ooh.
When are you
quick.
both scoring together? Is the question.
I think we are done with one scene for the film.
There you go. Reel 1. Q1 is done.
It's funny. That's the I've had the chance to demo a few products, but this one and the most recently that have this same sound engine, especially the Expressive E Osmose, to a lot of composers lately, and that's always the first reaction, especially in person. They're like, "What do you do with all your free time?" It's like, to even something as simple as like you hear that bass note and then I just push down a little bit and then I just bend a little bit.
Yeah.
That's like 45 minutes of programming and drawing MIDI CCs and all this like very tedious work. But that's just fun.
Yep. And
Yeah, this is
imagine that you can assign the pressure of that key to make things swirl around. So you
Swirl
press
around.
harder. Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
no, you tell me, and then I'll demonstrate the sound.
What I was going to say was there's separate MIDI USB outputs for the external and the internal. So you could actually pull up the sound I was just using, have it externally MPE handshake with SkyDust playing that sound, and separately outputting the audio from the internal engine, and have it do both simultaneously.
Wow.
And it won't cost you a single percentage of CPU extra, to get all of that extra dimension and sound.
Right. Yeah, that's some incredible power. I mean, I was actually trying to do that, connecting Osmose, taking an out from the Osmose, and then playing some patch here, and then looping it on Logic with the live loops thing, and just jamming on top. And I mean, I can just be here sitting like this without anything, with just these two things for like months together, I think.
Yeah. No, it's instant and endless, which is I think the ultimate goal of a really good tool.
Yeah. So I was just trying to make this patch work, and let me just check something real quick. So yeah, I had that sound to start with, it's nothing, it's hardly anything, just two oscillators, more like a pluck sound, and just I added a real quick sequencer, and the sequence is like so simple with panning for each note, and I can place the second note there, third note there, fourth note back behind my head, and then fifth note somewhere there, and
That's just so crazy to me because you just made that up.
yeah,
So
just like
why?
that. And if I want something else, let's say I want to get into some Indian scale or something like that, or like an Arabic sounding thing, I can, I just need to know the notes, and then just while we talk like that, I can quickly make one. And just add some more steps to it, and just go like, it's just endless.
I think Tony told me yesterday there's infinite steps, which
Yeah.
I think I haven't pushed it to how much, but I think I've easily gone over 50.
I mean, things like that, and then you get into
Let me
this.
sorry. I think it's 128 or 256. I'm not
Steps?
sure. Yeah.
That's not enough, man. And I'm just
wow.
kidding.
well, not quite
I think-
infinite, but that's a lot though.
let's yeah. You want to try?
No,
Maybe I can just
actually,
type it here.
yeah,
Yeah,
I just want to
128.
jump
Okay,
in real
good.
quick and mention a couple things, Nakul.
Yeah.
So one, yes, you can have multiple steps, but I also want to point out to those who are watching, you can have a polyphonic keyboard or a pitch bar as well. It doesn't have to be mono keys. You can play chords in arpeggiation. You can also force a scale and say, I want to be in C major, for example, right? And last but not the least, the panning that Nakul is using. So he's basically arpeggiating his pan move without using a panner. This is key. So while you play, you're arpeggiating your sound. But in addition to that, so he is right now using the main pan for every oscillator. You can also arpeggiate the panning for every single oscillator. that's next level, right? So you can actually create this pattern and say I want oscillator 1 to keep going in circles around me, 2 to go vertically maybe, and so forth and so on. Yeah. But we don't have to show that right now. I just want to point that out. You can go really, really deep if you want to.
And just to add, one more thing, this can become, it's a poly keyboard here, you can see, so I can just add some cool harmonies to make the sound richer and stuff.
It's very giving me instant Zelda vibes. I like it. Can you randomize the spatial assignments of each step?
Yeah.
With the dice.
That's a slide. No. So okay, I can jump in with that one. So if you do that, it's going to randomize the spatial tab. However, do you see that slider under the panel in arpeggiation? So that's a randomization slider. So if you increase the randomness, what that's going to do is each step will be slightly randomized based on the radius that you set. So you can say, I want it to be kind of in the right corner, but different every single time. So your sound will actually sound more organic and natural.
Right.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's just insane. And what if I just do that? Ooh.
Yeah, turn it into a pad.
Yeah?
Yeah, let's
Why
hear
not?
that. Let me see if I can jump in there too. We'll get something pattier.
Let's. Oops. Yeah. Sorry. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure what I was going to use. I was trying to find
Okay.
a bit of a.
Well, it's just those. Whoa.
So another thing I want to quickly point out, if you did this patch in SkyDust and you had to go to a studio, let's say, I don't know, Sony or Warner Brothers, and they have an Atmos room, all you have to do is change that output from binaural to Atmos, and you'll actually hear it in the room in Atmos. There's no other up mixing that needs to be done. It's going to translate well, right? So everything you did with your MP keyboard with the Osmose is preserved, which I think is huge.
It's an interesting thing about the so the internal sound engine of Osmose. What I was just playing was on the simpler side, so I probably could get a really good high fidelity MPE recording of just the MPE information. But there is a limit there. Whereas when you do an MPE handshake with the MPE capable soft synth, it's 100% playback fidelity and 100% editable too. So like every single gesture that Nakul used you can go into your DAW and see everything he did and edit it to like the tiniest point.
Yeah, that's true. Like I was trying to play one of these loops here. Oops, sorry, Logic. Yeah. Play that. Come on. Okay. So that one, and you can see everything has been written. And this was just one performance, and all the automation has been.
And just one patch. That sounds like a score, man. That's a one-note score right there.
Yeah, like you can see so many channels, and the notes have been written. I think the same applies to Osmose as well. Like everything is preserved. And
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, especially if you're going to use a VST. I mean, so you enter this weird territory when you deal with an instrument with such a powerful internal and gestural sound engine. You kind of hit up against this place where you can go down the path of like trying to preserve it as you would any other MIDI capable synthesizer to give you like playback. But in my experience, it's almost better to think of it as an acoustic instrument with unbelievable connectivity potential. And the final product is better as an acoustic recording in general, because it's the performance that kind of makes it great and makes it feel good. It's the connection while you're playing that allows you to create things so quickly. It's not just the sound, it's your ability to access that in the moment and respond in the moment. I think that creates the magic. But you can more or less get, complete playback from your DAW and through the instrument.
That's amazing. Another thing I completely forgot is with the new update in SkyDust version 1.5, now we have much more sources. Before it used to be a sine, square, triangle, the usual, right? For the oscillators, now you have hundreds of sources, including the ability to import your own audio file. So you can sing something and import it, or record something and import it, then granulate that and have it move all around you, which opens up a whole new world or universe of creative possibilities.
yeah.
Cool.
Wow.
Is there any other patch you want to share, Nakul, or should we just discuss more about the workflow part?
1 second, let me just. I was so just working on it. I've created some stuff. I'm not sure what I have done. Even I need to go through them once.
Too much inspiration.
Oh yeah, so this one I think
That's
it's
cool.
more to do with
It's a bit too hot, Nakul, but sounds great.
1 second, let me just tone it down a bit.
Thank you.
So I'm not even feeling like I'm playing this keyboard right now. If you can see, I'm it's literally what Josh was saying, with just a hair strand you can play a tone, and that triggers something, and then you go deeper and there's something else coming in, and you go third level and you have whatever you're assigned. In the patch I have assigned for the entire spatial thing to go crazy.
Nakul, you want to try an experiment?
Yeah,
with this patch? Because it seems very sensitive. All right, because this is something that is very counterintuitive to keyboard players. See if you can build up the patch. Let me see if I can switch. I'll try to talk from the keyboard just to explain with the, because this is unique, and this is one of probably the most overlooked functions of capabilities. Here, I'll just pick something simple. So see if you can build up a patch. Like I'm in now. I'm barely touching it, right?
Right.
Like, what's the lightest, airiest structure you can build with it? I'm very curious with that patch to hear what you can do.
Like stuff like.
very interesting to me because it does delicate so easily as well. You know, not just the big and the grandiose, but the very minute.
Yeah. And the funny part is I haven't even harnessed the entire potential of this tone. I'm just like literally. It's more like, you know, a housefly going from one key to another key. It's that light. And then I go deeper and then I can just go.
You can also do both. So try doing like a chord in the left hand, you know, or octave that's deep and heavy, and then you can just touch it like a feather up high, and you get a similar result.
Yeah.
Let it sneak in, you know. And with the programming and spatial capabilities of SkyDust, you could probably even set it so that parts of the keyboard were you know in the center speaker and the high stuff was spread out, and it would create this you know giant orchestration out of what, 3 notes.
Yeah, look at this. I mean, I can't believe that different pressures can give like 3 different tones, and because it's like I literally have what I need for and it wiggles as well, and then I'm just going as if it's a completely different tone altogether.
Right.
And the internal sound engine does an interesting thing with that too, where it most of the patches are kind of built. Now you can do really interesting things when you actually flip around the stereo or use just one channel, or record the 2 sides separately. There's also some interesting things you can do with the outputs, but most of the sounds are spatially have a spatial response to the frequency. So the lower stuff tends to be kind of left, and the higher stuff tends to be to the right.
Right.
And it's kind of built like a piano, but it gives you these really interesting opportunities to create super. Like one trick I love to do with the internal engine is I'll just turn the stereo field up to 400%.
Wow. Okay.
And then I'll like, you know, maybe have it coming into 2 audio channels, have one of them just center with mono kind of bass, and then with what my left hand is playing, I have this like big heavy bass thing, and then all the higher frequencies can occupy like the very wide stereo space.
Wow.
Again, you know, the idea of scale, like scale is relative. Like one sound in one space in one frequency range tells you nothing, but if you have several places, you know, relative to each other, then you start to get a sense of a sonic world.
Right. And I also want to throw in something that's more right brain centric, right? Because when MPE and spatial comes in, people often think, oh, that's the technical cool stuff, but I want to keep right music, right? And let's think back a bit. When as composers, you both might agree, sometimes when you have an idea, what you might reach for is an arranger keyboard, right? The reason being 1 or 2 clicks, you're able to capture that idea without having to wire 10 things to 16 different channels or whatnot. You just want to capture the idea. And in an arranger keyboard, typically, as most of you attending the webinar knows as well, you get to have different layers, like half the keyboard is pads, the other half is piano, for example, right? So you can play a pad and a piano. What Osmose, MPE, and SkyDust is allowing you to do now is you have all different presets on all the keys, and you're defining based on pressure. So you can determine, okay, I'm saving this patch where if I play soft, it's going to play the pad, but if I play a little more firmer, it's going to trigger the piano. So you get that split option, not based on number of keys, but based on how you play. And I think that's just huge for any artist, because you open up one preset which might have different nested presets under it that's defined by MPE. You set it, design it once, then forget it. And every time you have a new idea, all you have to do is come to your keyboard and start composing.
Right.
Cool. This been very, very exciting and amazing, and time flew. We are already at the 45-minute mark.
Yep.
And I think we can just keep going on and probably score 2 movies between the two of you. Scored over Zoom, right? That will be
Wow.
amazing. Hopefully in the near future. But with that, unless you both wanted to add anything else, I think we should open up to Q&A in respect of time.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Joao, welcome back.
Hello. So I have a couple of questions. Let me just read the last one from Don because I didn't have time to answer this one. Can you please walk us through how to best allow the Osmose to control SkyDust 3D? What is the recommended approach to make this handshake so that the MP data coming from the Osmose is being captured correctly in SkyDust and it's associated with multi-channel track? So you want to answer? You want me to answer?
I think, Joao, you should answer the basic bare bones of how SkyDust does, or I can jump in actually. I'll take it.
Okay.
So in SkyDust, you can click on the gear wheel, which opens up the settings, and in the MIDI channel option, you select MPE. That's pretty much the only thing you have to do, and we automatically set the pitch bend range to 48 because that's required by the MPE. And another key thing to note is that your DAW has to be MPE compatible. That makes your life much, much easier. I don't want to go into depths of it, but there is actually a specific page on our website that explains how MPE works. Same with Expressive E. Maybe Josh can jump in. They have lots of database and knowledge bases on how best you can use MPE. And keep in mind, this is still a cutting edge technology, right? That's why I want to make sure we are taking amazing technology, both the companies, Expressive E and Sound Particles, and we try to make it as invisible as possible. But yes, to answer your question, all you have to do is turn on MPE and follow the guidance offered by both us and Expressive E. I believe Nakul easily found out that the parameters he was using was, I believe, controller number 72 and aftertouch.
74.
74, my bad.
Yeah.
I stand corrected. 74 and aftertouch. That's a great
Aftertouch,
start. And then from there, you basically go to town and explore more MPE features. Josh, any thoughts on MPE settings in
This will get
Osmose?
easier with time. So the Osmose actually has like I think it's 6 different external modes. So you can have it in MPE mode. You can have it in poly aftertouch mode. I'm not remembering offhand all of them. You can also set it as a regular controller. It has the best feeling aftertouch of any keyboard I've ever played in my life. So a lot of composers like to just use it as their main controller. And then you can just switch modes very easily. So if you wanted to pull up a piano patch, it plays just fine. You just have to be in the right mode. And then I'd say just with the MPE handshake, it's synth specific. So it has to do with if anyone has an Osmose out there, I highly recommend getting Surge XT because it's free. And there's an MPE library that's already built in there that sounds amazing. Like it's as sensitive as the internal engine, which was a shock to me when I first did it because this was not my first sophisticated MPE instrument, and that's not always been the case, but it's starting to be more and more. And then I can't get into specifics, but I'll just say that moving forward, you will be able to buy a lot of soft synths, and then SkyDust, I'm sure this is going to be, I can't speak for you guys, but I'm sure it will be true, that's going to have custom tailored presets for this purpose. So it won't take any kind of technical knowledge or CC programming. You'll just turn on MPE, you'll just plug in the USB for your Osmose and go to the MPE preset list, and you'll have instant fun. No, no clicking and menu
No
diving.
geekery required, right?
Yeah, exactly. No
I mean,
nerdery.
I was doing the same thing, I would suggest that once the presets are built for these soft synths, which are MPE friendly, I think all we need to do is pull up each preset and just surf through the matrix and all the assignments that have gone into making that preset. And I think once we study 5 to 10 presets, anyone should be able to figure out how to make their own tones and start assigning things and play around with it.
Good
It's not
point, Nakul.
complicated. once you know the CCs, it's really not, because each
Yeah.
CC is sending not like one piece of information. Each CC is sending thousands of bits of small amounts of information.
Yep.
So like
So
one CC is going to give you, pitch means a lot more than just what note you're playing or on and off.
yeah,
I also want to
like
give a quick shout out. Oh, sorry, Nakul, go ahead.
no, I was just wanted to add to that point because as music creators, it's nothing different than what we used to do till now. Even before MP came in, we would have sustained pedal, expression pedal, or some assignments to the mod wheel, or if you have a breath controller and things like that. But we have to do the exact same thing in MPE mode. We don't need to know more than that. And I think the software does all the complicated stuff. Like, if you can see on my screen, I haven't written automation for all these notes. All I did was perform. And I just said, okay, CC74 or aftertouch, you control the filter cutoff of oscillator 1 or of all the oscillators, global oscillators. That's all was my point. And while I was performing, it has written pitch bend for every note that I've played. So that's doing the complicated stuff we don't need to know.
Right. And that's one thing we take pride in at Sound Particles. And I was about to say, I want to give a shout out to Java, who's on screen, who made some of the many amazing presets we have in SkyDust, which are also, by the way, MPE compatible. So there's so many presets in SkyDust that's good to go. So all you have to do is get Osmose and start playing with SkyDust. Or if you already have Osmose, get SkyDust and start playing spatial music.
Can I answer a question here from Sudanva? I hope I'm not mispronouncing the name. Is asking if we would, if there are more sound design centric presets to show the true capability of the synth. And I would just say that in 45 minutes, it's hard to show a wide variety of presets, but you can go and download the free trial and just check for yourself and see all the presets you can test. You can also send a message to support if you need some help, and I will personally help you with that. So feel free to send a message.
Yes, and that's a great way to try it because keep in mind the demo is fully functional, there's no limitations, and you won't have to suffer the low quality of Zoom. So put on your headphones, or if you have multiple speakers, like I said, even if you only have 4 speakers, put 2 behind you and just go in and explore. You won't regret it.
And by the way, just some more info on the MPE stuff. I think that I'm pretty sure actually that the aftertouch and the CC74 is a generic thing not only for Osmose but for most of the MP capable keyboards out there.
Wonderful.
So,
although I will say that you will notice a huge difference in how sensitive that CC.
oh yeah, I feel the same. I actually feel the same. I have tested some of the MP keyboards out there, and Osmose is for me the top notch right now too.
Yeah.
I feel exactly the same. So
No
yeah,
doubt about it. Yeah, Osmose is the gold standard for a 3D controller, and not because I work for Sound Particles. As per other artists, they actually say SkyDust is the gold standard for a synthesizer that actually spatializes everything from the moment you compose.
And on that note, so you can program everything to control the positioning in SkyDust. So these CCs will also work that way. There was a question about using like multiple nodes to control the spatial capabilities. So you can use each node to control. You can control the spatial features with the node, but I don't think you can control by the amount of notes you are playing. So if you are playing a wider array of notes, you will get each oscillator to play in a different position. But I don't think that you can spread it with putting more notes. I'm not sure. I can investigate a little bit more and give a better answer to this if you send a message to support too. But
I have a question about that. So, because the way at least the way the Osmose MPE works is, I think each note triggers a new MIDI channel.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is it possible to program SkyDust so that you would get can you program different reactions per channel?
I think it will trigger each channel in a sequence. So I don't think you can say, okay, the channel 1 will do this, because even Osmose will not work that way. Osmose, I think, will do, okay, if channel 1 is occupied, I will go to channel 2.
Right.
But if channel 1 is free, it will go to channel 1 again. So I think that's the way the only way it can respond to that, because I don't think it would be a coherent way to say, okay, channel 1 will do this, channel 2 will do that. I think it's just a sequence.
It just gave me a crazy idea, because you could open up 13 different channels of SkyDust and just
I understood. Yeah.
And then just each one will do something different every time.
But I think you would have to be able to say, okay, so Osmose, this will be channel 1, this will be channel 2, and I don't think you can say that in any. It's just the way it works right now. I'm not sure how this will develop in the future, but
yeah, it will be completely random.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
That's interesting. And on that note, I just want to add one thing about that optimization, right? So one question we usually get, maybe we already got this, is, hey, how CPU intensive is SkyDust? Because you get 8 notes, 8 oscillators per note. So if you're playing 10 notes, you get 80 particles or 80 objects, to speak in spatial language. I've had 11 or 12 instances of SkyDust in 714 on my laptop, and it seemed fine. So just know that SkyDust is a very, very powerful instrument, but it's also optimized to work on your CPU very well, so that you guys can keep creating music, just like Nakul and Josh did. Your machine gets excited again.
Oh yeah.
So, just one more thing. Someone asked if we could show some sample-based preset. Can I ask you, Nakul, to show 1 or 2 presets that are using samples? I can tell you which ones are using it.
Okay.
So, if you write flute-tailed FLU, okay, no, it won't happen. It won't appear that way. Search by artist.
Okay.
Or just write it, both ways.
Okay.
Okay, flute-tailed. Okay, so you have the first one, flute-tailed box. Is using samples. If you go to the oscillators, you will see that everything is a sample. So in the last 4 samples, you will have a music box doing the attack, and the first 4 oscillators are the decay of a flute. So you have the attack of a music box, a decay of a flute.
Right.
So this is a sample-based preset. I won't ask to show a lot more, because we'll spend a lot of time. But this is a sample-based preset. We have some more. If you want, you can download the free trial and just try it for yourself. You can also import your own samples if you go to the oscillator page. And you select, you can do import audio file and just get an audio file there, and it will just play it.
Yeah. Cool. If that's all we had, I think we should get Katrina back on camera and announce the winners of the giveaway. There she is.
Hello. Hello, guys. I'm here just to give good news, okay? And the first one is to announce the winner of our giveaway. The winner is Hernan Benitez. I don't know if this is right pronounced. He's from Argentina. So don't worry, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow by email. So keep an eye on our email, please. And the giveaway is from Expressive E, and thank you, is 1 Touche SE, 1 Imagine, 1 Noisy, and 1 Mercury. And from our side, from Sound Particles, you'll have 1 SkyDust 3D, 1 Energy Penner, and 1 Brightness Penner, and 1 Density. So you'll have lots of plugins and the Touche to make wonderful music.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Let
congratulations.
me just say one more thing, sorry.
Yeah.
If anyone feels like his answers, his questions were not answered, please send an email and we will answer right away, okay?
Yeah, Shmo is always free for this. He loves to text back, so feel free to message him. And the last thing that I want to say is that we will we'll be giving you a 45% discount on our website, soundparticles.com. You just have to insert the code MPE45rocks. I will text him on the chat so you don't miss it. And I will send it to you tomorrow by email so you don't forget about it. So you'll have 45% on all our products except subscriptions, okay? So feel free to jump onto our website, soundparticles.com, and nice shopping.
Yeah, thank you so much, Katrina. And I just want to take a quick moment to thank everyone, Joao, Katrina, and the whole team at both Expressive E and Sound Particles. But a huge shout out to these two amazing artists, composers, human beings, Josh and Nakul. Thank you so very much. This was amazing. And everyone who's attending, feel free to look them up. Look at Josh's work. I was introduced to his work only a few days ago, and I've been blown away. He's amazing at what he does. Same with Nakul. Nakul is also actually about to go on tour in Europe starting tomorrow. So if you're in the UK or Germany or Switzerland, go see him live performing in one of the stadiums near you. So thank you both of you for joining this webinar, and thank you everyone who joined us today. We really appreciate your support. So thank you everyone.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.
Bye.